And one of the things that I do like is when you have a data-driven approach, it takes a little bit of the subjectivity out of it.
Yes.
When you have a valid, reliable instrument that has a lot of science behind it, even if it's a self-reporting instrument, it's one of those things that it's not just a here's my opinion. The questions are asked in a certain way, and they're asked over and over and over again for that internal reliability. So that way that's in validity. So that way they know that, all right, well, I've got something here I can bank on. And when I'm sharing this information with you, it's not just, I think I'm good at this. It says, hey, this is, or I think this is where there might be a strength. But what I like is when you take and combine the different pieces of it, you're looking at a specific portion of, let's just say, a behavioral assessment that talks about, hey, what value, based on how you do what you do, what value you bring to the organization.
Absolutely. And
Business,
David, an
nonprofit,
example,
government.
an example of that?
Yeah.
What would be an example of some of the value that someone brings to the organization that one of our assessments would identify?
Well, one of the things that, whether it's a time management or whatever, and I know I'm going to let you go through the list that you have there, but one of the things I like to do is take that value to the organization list that you talk about and directly compare them to their competencies. Part of the report is a set of 25 soft skill competencies or people skills that are ranked in developmental orders. There's strength-based type of ranking. So that way, here's what I'm really well developed in, here's what I'm developed in, here's what I'm okay at, and here's the stuff I'm just not the greatest at. And you mentioned it before, and that's why I wanted to bring it up for the listeners to really hit this one home. If you can tie in the value you bring to the organization with the things that you're good at, those are the things you want to double down on. Like I said, you want to spend a lot of time, effort, and energy if you create a development plan for somebody, for a subordinate. Do you really want to spend a lot of time working on something that's they're going to make small increments on and may it not be that much? If it's crucial to the job and it's definitely a weakness and they have to kind of improve on it somewhere, maybe. But if it's, why spend a lot of time on something that's not really their strength when you can take and double down on the stuff they're really good at, or put them in the position where they can capitalize on the things that they are a value to the organization and the skills that they're the best at and what drives them.
Absolutely. So we'll take for an example with one of these sample reports I have right here in front of me. It lists out several bullet points or descriptors of the value that person brings to the organization. So some of them in this particular case with this particular person's assessment style, which is he's a high I and a high D. So they're high influencer, high dominant. Some of them are that the people oriented. Okay, great. Another one would be verbalizes his feelings, self-reliant. So just stop right there with those three things. You could sit and have a conversation about each one of those bullet points with that individual and just asking them, how do they feel? Is that accurate? Does that seem to reflect the value they feel they bring to the table? And if so, how can that be leveraged within the organization? How can they find opportunity to utilize that characteristic on projects or in certain jobs that they're working on? How can that person be called in to be part of a team possibly because they have that strength and they could be able to apply that in a group setting where they're working on a project together? So this is where you can go with these values when you are able to identify the value that person brings to your organization. Now we're able to really maximize some things that are going to help that person be a better achiever, and at the same time give them some appreciation from the people they work with as well as the people they work for.
Absolutely.